You ever hear a story so ridiculous it makes you laugh before it makes you mad? Yeah, that's this one. Let me tell you about the time a petty HOA president decided to play hero and frame my son, except the helpless kid he targeted just so happened to be surrounded by a bunch of Navy SEALs. No, really, you can't make this stuff up. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? If it had been me, I probably would have bolted out the back door at the first sign of trouble. But my kid? Nah, he's built different. You're going to want to hear the rest of this. Trust me. It started like any other Monday. My phone was already blowing up with emails from work, the usual corporate nonsense, when I heard the familiar growl of the mail truck idling at the curb. I grabbed my coffee, cold by then, as usual, and strolled out to meet the day, expecting bills, coupons, maybe a catalog if I was lucky. Instead, there's this official-looking envelope, all business, stamped with a gold eagle so dramatic you'd think it was the IRS. Authority, it screamed. Obey. I flipped it open right there on the porch, read aloud so the squirrels and probably half my neighbors could hear. Grass exceeds show regulation height by 0.5 inches. Violation fee, $50. Compliance required within 72 hours. I looked at my front lawn, which I'd literally just mowed, and then back at the letter, then back at the grass. The lawn looked, I don't know, alive. Green, soft, maybe 2 inches high at most, the same as every other patch on the block. Maria, my wife, superhero in a nurse uniform, popped her head out the front door, coffee in hand, reading my face before reading the letter over my shoulder. She let out this half-laugh, half-scoff you only make when life gets so absurd you can't decide whether to throw something or just let it ride. Did they really use a tape measure on our grass? She asked, shaking her head. What's next? Citations for the shade of green? We laughed, but I'll be honest. I felt that old twinge of annoyance in my chest, like a warning shot before the storm. Sure enough, Tuesday rolled in and brought another ticket. Garbage bins visible from street in violation of aesthetic guidelines. I was starting to get the picture, you know. Wednesday, we were guilty of unauthorized vehicle overnight, which was weird since Maria's Honda had slept soundly in the garage. Thursday, a noise complaint, even though Jake, our son, was doing his homework with music so quiet I could barely hear it standing in the hallway. By Friday, my phone looked like a detective's evidence board. Photos of our grass, time-stamped garbage bin positions, spreadsheets of every so-called violation. For citations in 4 days. The pattern was so obvious, it hurt. The kicker? When I went and read the actual bylaws, half the rules they cited weren't even there, and the rest were vague enough to mean whatever Brennan, the new HOA president, wanted them to mean. Yeah, Brennan. The name didn't mean much to me at first. That changed quick. I started asking around. Neighbors, the retired teacher next door, the guy who'd been here since the 70s. Mrs. Patterson, bless her, invited me in for coffee and gave me the real scoop. Honey, we're getting the treatment, she said, stirring her cup slow, eyes darting to her window like we were being watched. Brennan likes power. Most folks just pay the fines and move on. Her tone made it clear this wasn't new, but it had never been this intense. That night, Jay came home from soccer, all sweaty and grinning, but the mood in our house was thick, heavy with something unspoken. I tried to play it down, told him about the citations, but he just got quiet. Dad, I've got my Naval Academy interview next week, he said, voice smaller than I'm used to hearing. They do background checks. What if this stuff messes it up? I hugged him and lied, Don't worry about it, son. This is all nonsense, nothing to do with you. Truth was, it got under my skin. My kid, who'd worked his tail off, varsity sports, volunteering, top grades, now worried some bureaucrat's grudge might derail his dream. I went digging. I typed Robert Brennan, military contractor, into Google, expecting nothing. Instead, my screen fills with court records, weapons trafficking, fraud, dishonorable discharge. And right there, buried in the legalese, my own name, Staff Sergeant Henry Thompson. Turns out I'd been the guy who gave testimony that sent Brennan away all those years ago. It all crashed back. Trials, testimony, the whole ugly mess. 15 years later, Brennan had found me. I walked to the window, needing air. Outside, everything looked so normal. Porch lights, kids' bikes, the quiet we'd worked decades to afford. Then I saw him, Brennan, standing under a streetlight, arms crossed, staring at my house with a smile, so cold it made my skin crawl. He waited until I saw him, held my gaze, then walked back to his place like he owned the block. Suddenly, the citations weren't about grass. They were about revenge. That night, I barely slept. By Friday morning, the games ramped up. Brennan, just happening to take his morning walk past our house, stopped to chat, all fake friendliness. Heard you've got a military background, Mr. Thompson. His voice sweet as syrup, but his eyes hard, calculating. I kept it short. Yes, sir. 20 years. He just smiled, slow, like he was tasting the words. Small world, isn't it? After that, things went from bad to insane. By noon, some guy called, claimed to be HOA emergency services, demanding access to our electrical system for an anonymous code violation. When I asked for credentials, he got aggressive, said emergencies didn't require notice. I laughed him off, but the stress settled in my bones. That afternoon, a tow truck rolled up, driver insisting he had orders to impound our improperly registered vehicles. I started filming. He peeled out so fast, he left rubber on the road. Then came the police. Noise complaints again. The officers apologized, told me to document everything and maybe talk to a lawyer. That night, Jake told me he'd noticed a white sedan tailing him from school. 2 days in a row, same car, same guy, sunglasses, never got out, just watched. I ran the plate through some contacts. Guess who owned it? Pinnacle Security Services, run by Brennan's younger brother. This wasn't just pettiness. It was a campaign. Maria went pale when I explained. What if this gets worse? She whispered, voice cracking. Jake's interview is coming. What if they try to ruin that? I promised I wouldn't let that happen, and I meant it. Brennan picked the wrong family. Then, 2 a.m, our motion sensors tripped, someone circling the house, checking doors, moving with that careful, professional energy that sets off every instinct in a military vet. I found a GPS tracker under my car. Not amateur stuff, real equipment. I smashed it to bits with a hammer, just as my phone rang. Brennan, on the other end, all venom now. You shouldn't have done that, Thompson. You just made this personal. Then silence. Next day, 3 rental sedans pull up in front of our house. Out steps Master Chief Marcus Smith, my old teammate from Iraq. Behind him, Wilson, Jackson, and Miller, SEALs, all of them. They're here for Jake's Naval Academy evaluation, a 3-day assessment to see if he's got what it takes. Jake lights up. It's his moment, his dream, finally within reach. The SEALs immediately notice my makeshift security, cameras, tripwires, motion sensors. You expecting trouble, Dave? Jackson asks. I tell them everything about Brennan, the harassment, the surveillance. They listen, faces hardening. From his window, Brennan watches us. He starts making calls, gesturing wildly, probably thinking I hired private security, not realizing these are real-deal military evaluating my kid. The assessment starts. Jake handles every challenge, leadership drills, strategy games, with a calm that makes me swell with pride. Marcus leans in. He's got it, Dave. Academy would be lucky to have him. But by afternoon, the surveillance ramps up. Unmarked cars, drones, the works. Wilson checks his gear. You've got military-grade surveillance on you, Dave. This isn't amateur hour. That night, as the SEALs run counter-surveillance from my kitchen, Jackson uncovers the whole story. Brennan's revenge, the fake violations, the plan to sabotage Jake's future. He's targeting your son to hurt you, Marcus says. Jake overhears, but stands tall. Dad, if you did the right thing, then I'm proud to be your son. If he was helping the enemy, you had to stop him. But Brennan's planning his final move, an all-out fake DEA raid, planting drugs to get Jake arrested, ruin his naval dreams forever. Wilson, scanning frequencies, picks up their chatter. They're coming tomorrow, during the assessment. Fake raid, plant evidence, arrest Jake. Marcus, cool as ice, looks at Jake. Son, this is your officer moment. How you stand under fire, that's what matters. The next morning, everything is ready. Witnesses, cameras, federal agents on standby. The fake DEA SUVs screech in. Full tactical gear, all for show. Neighbors pour out, phones up, watching. Brennan's in his window, grinning like he's about to win the Super Bowl. The lead imposter steps up, barking orders, shoving through the door. Jake, steady as I've ever seen him, asks for ID, respectful, clear on record. The agent ignores him, starts tearing the house apart. Marcus leans over, low voice. Now, son, show them what a leader does. Jake stands his ground. They find drugs in his room, obviously planted. The crowd gasps. Marcus steps up, announces himself as a Master Chief, running official naval assessment. Suddenly, the mood shifts. Real authority shows up. The imposters get twitchy. Wilson beams intercepted audio onto the garage. Brennan's own voice, paying for the hit, orchestrating the whole thing. At that moment, real federal agents storm in. Nobody move. Federal investigation. The imposters freeze. Mrs. Patterson's live stream captures it all. Neighbors go from shocked to furious. Brennan panics, tries to run, pulls a gun. Miller, cool as a cucumber, disarms him in 2 seconds flat. Weapons training isn't about killing, it's about control, Jackson explains, steadying the crowd. The agents cuff Brennan, his team, the works. The neighbors cheer, not wild, just this exhausted relief like someone finally opened a window after a year of smoke. That's justice, right? Karma, delivered. 15 years Brennan waited, only to out himself in front of everyone. Local news sweeps in. Jake, cool as ever, says, "My father did his duty. I'm proud to follow his example." Maria wipes away tears. Marcus keeps it grounded. "This is what the academy needs," he says. Jake smiles, quiet, humble. No speeches, just a kid who refused to be broken. When it's over, the HOA board holds an emergency meeting. No more fines. No more secret security contracts. Brennan is out, unanimous. People speak up. Turns out we weren't the only ones bullied, just the only ones who fought back. The court case goes quick. Brennan tries to spin his story, but the evidence is overwhelming. He gets 18 years. No fanfare. No speeches. Just a bailiff's hand on his shoulder and a steel door closing behind him. Life comes back in slow waves. Jake's letter from the academy arrives. For a second, none of us breathe. He opens it, accepted. The smile on his face is like sunrise after a month of rain. Maria cries. I hug him tighter than I ever have. Marcus calls that night, his advice simple. Real authority doesn't need costumes. Remember that. We walk the neighborhood together. No cameras, no crowd. Jake asks, why did the world almost believe the lie? I tell him the truth. People trust uniforms and titles until they see proof. That's why we build proof and why we stay calm, no matter how angry we get. You hold on to your integrity, because at the end of the day, that's all they can't take from you. That's the lesson I learned the hard way, and the one I hope my son carries wherever life takes him. So here's my question for you. Was 18 years enough for what Brennan did, or did he get off easy? Have you ever seen power twisted so far out of shape it almost broke your faith in people? I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you've ever tangled with someone like that, tell me your story. Maybe together we can keep each other honest.